All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome back to the live stream. I apologize for being a couple of minutes late. As you can tell, I'm in the upstairs loft part of the apartment again. Emily and I spent a considerable amount of the day out and about. I ended up shooting an Instagram vlog about it. I'll upload it after this live stream. But we are in the upstairs portion of the apartment now. And this is going to be, I think, moving forward, going to be kind of more the new home of the live stream and some of the videos and things along those lines. So, you know, we're trying to work on the background, get a little bit of shelves and things like that, as you can see over there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not stoked about it yet. I think like there's a lot more work that needs to get done with it, but it's kind of the beginning. It's kind of the start, and yeah, we'll just give it a go, and we'll get going with this. If you're watching this back on the playback, good to see you guys. Or if you're watching here live, thanks for hanging out with us today. As you know, we're trying to go as consistently as we can, doing some live streams at 5 p.m. every single day. And so, yeah, we got some people here in the notification squad. Good to see you guys. Hurricane Dog and Aaron and Kylie. Thank you very much, Kylie. He says it looks really good. Working on it. Still trying to get it to match. I'm not stoked about how this shelf goes right through my head, but I don't quite know how to fix it given the limitations of this space. But we're gonna try and make it work. We're gonna see what is gonna come out of all of this. I'm right now drinking Bundaberg, and so if you're watching with me in the live stream right now, my question of the day today is, number one, let me know you're here in the live chat right now. But number two is, what is one of your favorite drinks? For me, one of my favorite drinks is ginger beer, and Bundaberg is a ginger beer. It's a non-alcoholic ginger beer that's based out of Australia, and I got to go to Australia last year, and this is, I don't know, this is one of my favorite drinks. So cheers to all you guys. If you got a cup of coffee, you got lemonade, Arizona, Thai iced tea, very good one. Another upvote for tea. Wherever you are in the world, and you're drinking whatever you're drinking, cheers. Clink right there, and we'll head into our live chat in just a second. All right. So, what do we want to talk about today? Today we're going to be doing questions and answers. Unfortunately, because I was so busy with the whole trying to do all this, we went to like 4 different stores trying to get things like Target. We ended up at World Market, Office Depot for like extension cords and things like that. And so we were actually pretty busy today. So we'll just do questions and answers, and we'll just go straight through it. Whoa, Kylie's serious about her coffee. Coffee frap with 3 shots of espresso. Dang, that's a little nuts. Snow the Christian Vlogger. I love it. Awesome. Very cool. Wagwan, brethren. What's up, Joel? I apologize for my terrible Jamaican accent, but good to have you here, Joel. Let's go ahead. I'm going to do just diving in straight to questions as we get them. If we get enough questions, we'll keep on going. If things slow down, we'll just hang out just for a little bit. Just to let you guys know, of course, as always, the super chat function is available. It's a way for you to highlight your comment and to make sure that I do respond. I'll respond to 100% of our super chats for today's live stream. It's also a way for you to just kind of support the channel, give back, and say, hey, Justin, appreciate what you're doing. Want to give you some love and support in the small way that I possibly can. Every time you do the super chat, show up on the screen, and yeah, just a really cool way to help. So let's go ahead. Let's just bow our heads for a word of prayer, and we'll dive on in. Father in heaven, thank you so much for today and the opportunity to hang out with my friends here online and to talk about faith and spiritual things, and just to dive deeper in our faith. And I just want to pray that you would grow our faith and grow our relationship with you and help us to learn more about you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So one reflection I did have about today, I wasn't planning on saying this, but one reflection I do have of today. Again, let me know your comments or questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to them once those are populated up a little bit more. I was trying to install this shelving unit, and I was so frustrated just trying to operate the drill, get the screws through the wall, find the studs, all those different kinds of things. I was just so frustrated. I was like yelling and angry, and it was just like, I know why I am not supposed to be a carpenter, because this whole event, this whole journey was quite the ordeal. God bless my wife for being patient and supporting and helping, but I know that for me, I was like super frustrated. And I think that this is probably why it's valuable to do things that are out of your comfort zone. I've gotten in a routine over the last couple of months and years of pretty much doing the same things over and over. You know, I make the videos, do the live stream, go to a church, you know, play some video games, hang out with my dog, and I kind of have this routine where everything's the same. I'm not really thrown out of my element, and I feel very comfortable. But just doing one new activity, like trying to install shelves on the wall, challenged me so much. Not just from like, can I do it? Is this something that I even have the skills to do? Like, I had to go to Home Depot today to buy a drill because I don't have a drill. But beyond that, like when you are in new experiences, challenging experiences, it causes friction in the way that you handle it. And I think it reveals areas of growth. And for me, one of those areas of growth is patience. It definitely is the ability to kind of like stick things through and kind of be a little bit more even keel and even tempered. So that's definitely something I'm trying to grow in, something I'm trying to work on. And today was even just another reminder of that fact. All right, let's go ahead. With that said, let's just go to questions. Let's dive straight on into this. All right. Kylie Cauldron is asking, how can you tell when dreams are from God? That's a really great question. I don't know that I have a specific answer for that. But I would say that in general, dreams and signs and visions and things like that are not like God's primary way of communicating with us today. It is something that is possible. You know, the Bible does definitely talk about, like in the end times, young boys and men will see visions, and young girls and women will have dreams, and all of this different kind of stuff. But there is an interesting verse I want you to consider. I'm looking for it right now. I think it's Matthew chapter 12. And let's go to verse 38. I'm not 100% sure the context of this passage, but it's something worth considering. It's definitely something that I thought about when it came to this subject. Okay, it says, "Then some of the scribes and Pharisees answered him, saying, 'Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you.' And notice this, but he answered them, 'An evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign, but no sign will be given to them except for the sign of Jonah the prophet.'" There's other passages that are somewhat similar to this, where it seems to be the case that God is resisting the concept of people who are looking for signs, dreams, wonders, and things like that. Not that necessarily that these are inherently evil or wrong, but I think what God is trying to get to us at the core is, will we simply take him at his word? Right? And I think that this is important because dreams are so subjective. Like, how do you know what dreams are from God is the question. How do you know what dreams even mean, and how can you even interpret them? Unless you've been given that specific gift, that is a very good question. I mean, we all have dreams all the time, but do they always have meaning? I don't think so. I think that that's just part of our body reacting to like the food we eat, the amount of sleep that we had, and the interactions that we had in the day. I try not to read into dreams very much at all. And instead, I try to look at God's word and the principles that he teaches for guidance and direction instead. And so that's kind of what I would say about that. I don't have a great answer as far as how do you know which dreams are from God, because I don't think the scriptures really talk about that too much. The scriptures do, though, talk about a lot the importance of obedience to the word of God. So that's what I would say. God's Original, did you have a good day, Justin? Yeah, it was pretty good. Slower start, which is good because it's a Sunday and you get to chill out a little bit. Ran a bunch of errands with Emily, worked on the background that you see here, and still need to finish up a bunch more of that. But yeah, that's what I'm going through. Jasmine Patterson, I like this question. Okay, hey Justin, I know your position on women pastors, but curious whether you take a more egalitarian or complementarian position when it comes to marriage roles. Okay, I want to make sure that I define these correctly. Egalitarian marriage versus Googling complementarian marriage. Okay, so my general position on women in ministry, which is what she cited, was that, it's not a big deal. I think that women in ministry is a good thing. We see that over and over in the Bible. We see women that are teachers. We see women that are disciples, women that are preaching. We see women that are even prophets. And so I have no problem with that. But the question is, what about applying that to marriage? To egalitarianism and complementarianism. Okay, so egalitarianism, I'm trying to find a definition that I can find online. Let me look, egalitarian definition of marriage. Okay, an egalitarian marriage is one such change of pattern in the way a married couple interacts. Why is this going to be difficult? Okay, definition meaning the ideal marriage. Is this right? Now, see, all of these websites have given. Okay, here's this one website's definition of egalitarian marriage. It's where both the husband and wife are fully employed full-time and earn for the family, works with a common understanding that they both have agreed to take care of the house and or kids together, and it's where roles are not based on the person's gender. They allow both partners to make important financial, personal, family-related decisions as equals. That's definitely the way that I feel about marriage. We are partners in it, and it happens to be that some... Hi, babe.
Hey.
Want to come over here and talk about egalitarian marriage?
Real quick, yeah.
Oh, you wanted to jump in?
Okay. I kind of heard the conversation. Sometimes I feel like I want to be like...
Traditional?
Yeah, like a stay-at-home mom. And I do, like if we ever have kids, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. But it's kind of hard because I'm the one with like...
You're out of bed. You're cleaning and working in a frenzy.
I'm the one with like a master's degree. So I can earn more than you right now. But like... hopefully God can lead us someday where you can earn more and I can stay at home. Because I feel like I'm very traditional in that way. And I actually enjoy like housework and like that traditional stuff. Like
not that all of you ladies
not like
have
all
to.
of women like that, but I enjoy just being like traditional. And yeah, I do like being professional too. I do like working, but I think if I have a family, I'd rather be at home than working full time, because that would be, for me, like my energy levels, I couldn't do that. Like I wouldn't be a good mom because I'd just be tired at the end of the week, tired at the end of the day, and I couldn't give to my kids. So
yeah, so right now we get your breath. You sound like you just went for a run.
Did like 3 trips to the dump to drop off all the cardboard stuff.
Did 3 dumps?
3 trips to the dump. It was like exhausting.
By the way, I saw the super chat. I'll acknowledge that in a second. Give me a second.
I think that looks really good back there. I personally like it better because it's like more. I personally like it because what do you guys think of our backdrop? I like it because
people were saying that they liked it.
I like it because it's more minimalistic. It's not like in your face,
super clutter. So right now we operate more egalitarian.
Yeah.
We are both working. We don't have kids. And we kind of just divide up household chores in just however it works. It used to be when you were working part-time that you did most of the cooking, cleaning, that kind of a thing.
And I feel like I still am doing that mostly working full-time now, just so you know.
You've only been working full-time for like 4 days.
2 weeks, yeah.
But historically, at least, when you were working full-time, I was doing most of the cooking and cleaning. Well, maybe not cleaning. I was doing most of the cooking, shopping, and all the household things, aside from cleaning, because I hate cleaning so much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So that's just how it's working. But you're saying that you would prefer a more traditional, like you would like it if I earned enough for the entire family, and you could have the opportunity to maintain the home and ultimately raise children. And things like that.
And I honestly don't mind like working a little bit outside the home, like in order to get an extra income, like what I was doing. Oh, that's so behind. What I was doing before, like working, 1 day a week or 2 days a week, because I think that gives me something outside the home to do that's nice. But probably not like the first years of having a baby. That'd be hard. But
yeah.
But I definitely like that traditional role because I feel like I am very like nurturing, and I don't know. Like I think in my job right now it's new and it's hard, and so like
but even with that, like say we have kids and we're raising kids, I actually want to be involved with that. I don't think I would like to just kind of be the worker and earning the money and then like the kids just do whatever they like. I actually would really love being involved in their education. Like I kind of like the concept of homeschooling, because for me school was great for you in many respects, but school, I want to say, like failed me in many ways, because I'm such a different person. Like I have so many attention deficit disorder type things, and like I process things differently. And like aside from the like my mom was my teacher for a few years. Aside from her, most of my teachers like didn't understand how to work with me and educate me well. And so because of that, I've had to learn in many different ways. And that's why I love teaching so much, is because I know what it's like to have a good teacher, and I know what it's like to have a teacher that's not so helpful.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like, I still, even then, like I don't mind embracing some of the traditional roles, but I still like, I like a marriage that works based off of our skill sets rather than what society says we should or should not do.
Yeah, for sure. Like you're definitely more of a teaching strength. You have a teacher strength for sure about you. Yeah, but I mean, if you do a job like this where you can work from home, like you have that flexibility to see the kids more, you know, so.
Well, that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully, God willing, in the future, this ministry continues to grow and things along those lines. And yeah, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah. Or like
Sweet.
raise dogs on the side. Like your boss.
You want to do a few more questions? It's only like another 15 minutes. Come hang out with us. Just hang out. Pull up your chair. Come on. Come on. I'll help you with all the other stuff once we're done with the live stream.
No, I gotta like do work stuff. You can't help me with that.
Well, I'll help you with the other stuff. Yay! Thanks for hanging out, babe. Okay, so how do I... Now the whole background is off. Actually, you know what? That's like hitting you in the face real hard. Oh, well, who cares? It's a live stream. All right, so let's go back to questions. What are you drinking? Is that kombucha? No, it's not kombucha. It is ginger beer. You like kombucha though, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, super chat. I got to respond to the super chat. Hey, Noah, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says, hey, Justin, I haven't been watching the stream in a while, and I love everything about how it is now. Always praying for you and your ministry, brother. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate the prayers. And I understand life gets busy. I put out like way too much content. I think like half the time Emily doesn't even watch the videos that I put out.
Well, I'm like never on YouTube. I don't do YouTube. It's bad. I know. I watched some of them, but
you watch the ones that are that you find interesting.
Yeah, it's just hard to keep up on it.
No, I get that. I get it. I get that life happens, and that's just the way that works. But Noah, thank you very much for your prayers and for joining us today in the live stream. That's awesome. All right, let's see. God's Original. That's awesome. You're doing a live stream every day. Do you have any thoughts about how to find your calling in life? That's a great question. We get that question quite often. I have done a handful of videos. Do you have any thoughts, any newer thoughts that you'd like to share on finding your calling in life?
I still like, I feel like I still don't know my calling in life. I don't know. I don't know if it's to be an OT or not.
Why?
I don't know, because like I've been switching jobs so often that I'm just like, oh, it's new for me. I'm not very good at this. I don't feel very confident in this.
Yeah, you've had like how many jobs? We've been married for 3 years. How many jobs have you had so far?
3 different jobs.
Yeah.
So it's like, then I'm starting back from square one again and I like doubt myself. Like, is this not my strength? Should I not be doing OT? That's kind of where I'm at right now because I just started a new job and I'm like, I work with teachers who have 30 years of experience. I'm like, you know what you're doing. I have like 3 years of experience. So
how do you wrestle with the reality that you don't know? Do you feel guilty about that?
No, not necessarily, because I know that whatever situation I'm in, it's growing me to develop skills for life, like adapting to change, learning how to be a better mentor and professional. And even though this may not be my calling, it's helping me find those skills, develop those skills, I guess. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to have all the answers right away, but that's not always the case. There is a healthy time for just growing and learning. Think about this, right, guys? Okay, Jesus. Did Jesus have a calling and a purpose and a mission of his life? Absolutely, right? But how old was Jesus, excuse me, when he started his calling and his ministry? At least in the way that we think about it, right?
30.
He was 30 years old when he decided to actually enter into the ministry. What was he doing the first 30 years? He was building shelves like these ones. He was being a carpenter. Was Jesus any less living on mission when he was a carpenter versus doing like preaching and healing? Like, no, because he was doing what God called him to do.
And God was preparing him for that time.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
And so sometimes, like, you might not actually know what you're supposed to do. You might not actually have the clearest vision, but God is still preparing you. God is still equipping you and working through you. So if you're struggling through that, like, obviously you want to keep searching. I think that's important that we're consistently looking for that. But there's another sense that we need to be able to trust that God's in control. God's got the steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
And then as long as we're earnest about following him and doing his will, like, he'll lead us in the right time, in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah.
Super Chad, you want to read this one?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm an STA also. Can you hear me? Did you ever have a hard time keeping the Sabbath 100% holy? I'm working on that myself. P.S. Your marriage is goals. Oh, thank you.
Our marriage is not goals, by the way. We have so many things that we like struggle with and we're not great at marriage, but I appreciate the sentiment. But don't believe everything you see on the internet, because it's so easy just to put the good bits. Like, literally, 2 minutes before we went live, like, we were yelling I was yelling at you because I was all frustrated about the thing. And we were having like a mini argument. It wasn't like really a fight, was it?
No.
But we don't post about that on social media. So one point I want to say, Michelle, I receive what you're saying and I'm grateful for that. But, you know, our marriage isn't perfect. We are continually striving and trying to grow and all that kind of stuff. That would be the first thing I'd say. But then you ask the question, did you ever have a hard time keeping the Sabbath 100% holy?
I mean, I think personally for me, like, if I'm so focused on keeping it holy and all the do's and don'ts, it's going to take away from the joy and the love that I experience on the Sabbath from God and others. So that's kind of what I'm going through right now. Like, not focusing on like, oh, should I do this or should I not do this? It's like spending time with family, you know, going to church if you want to that day and you feel called to that day, and just, walking with God that day, setting aside that time. So I think if you focus on that and rather than the do's and don'ts, it's going to be better for you.
Yeah. I think keeping the Sabbath 100% holy is kind of like a challenging thing to define, because there's so many different definitions of what is appropriate, what's not appropriate. And I think that like a lot of that just misses the actual point of it all. The actual point of the Sabbath isn't like what you do or don't do. The point of the Sabbath is, are you spending time with God? Are you focusing on things that are eternal? Are you investing in the life to come? And I think that that's really what you should be focusing on. And it's more about principles than it is about like specific do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that helps, Michelle. Appreciate the question. Adrian's asking the question, how did you meet your wife? How did I meet you?
When you were speaking up front at a church.
So 4 years ago, I was preaching at church. This is why, guys, it's super important for you to remain in the church all the time, right? I was preaching at church, and what were your thoughts immediately?
He's a good speaker. Yeah.
That wasn't the one I'm talking about.
Oh, like I wonder if he's married? Yeah.
Well, you assumed that I was married.
Yeah.
Because you're a racist.
No, because I'm just like, oh, he seems so professional, so...
That's not what you told me.
So grown up. What did I say?
You said you thought I was married because I was Asian and you couldn't place how old I was.
Yeah, that's true. I couldn't tell how old you were because, like, Asians age so well. I'm like, oh, he could be, like, 35 and have a family, you know?
Yeah, so we met at church. A couple months later, we went on our first date, and we were married about a year later.
Yep. Crazy.
Pretty quick times. Good times. Yeah. And now we've been married for... over 3 years.
Yeah, over 3 years.
Good question. All right. Here's a good question you could probably help out with. How do you handle being the only Christian at work and being judged for being innocent / religious and not participating in the party or sex conversations? I don't work with other people. This is my work. So
this is interesting because I just started a new job, and one of my I have an OT assistant that I work with, she's been super nice and helpful. She has a lot of years of experience. And it was really interesting because she's super nice and friendly, and we have like tons of conversations every day. Not even about work, just like, oh, what do you like to do and stuff like that. And last week she had her 60th birthday party at her house. And
you glazed over the fact that she's 60 years old.
Yeah, 60.
That's super cool.
She's 60. So she invited me, and a bunch of work people to her birthday party. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go. I'm going to be working with her closely. I want to support her. I want to show her, that I appreciate her. So I went, and like they had like beer and lots of things there that I don't partake in. But I just wanted to show her that I support her and like we're friends. And we've had a lot of, especially this last week, we've had a lot of deep conversations about like emotional health and mental health, and kind of like giving her my perspective on, it's like through a Christian lens, but I'm not even saying the word God. I'm like, you know, I choose to not judge people because everyone has a past and a background, and I choose to love people. Kind of like those types of conversations. And like, she's like, oh my goodness, like that's so good that you're figuring that out at this age, you know, because her boyfriend, she's like living with her boyfriend, and she's like, well, he has a lot of, you know, baggage, and he's like depressed right now. I'm like, oh, you know, I can relate to that and stuff like that. So even though they're not like God conversations, it's like, man, I feel like God is in the conversation for some, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's super cool. It's so easy to focus when you're hanging out with people of different faiths or different backgrounds or whatever. It's so easy to focus on what separates you, and to dwell on that, as opposed to what you have in common.
And we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like, a lot of times we put like an us versus them mentality, and like, it's not me versus them. Like, everyone's on the equal playing field, and everyone should be loved and treated as Jesus would treat you. And Jesus went to hang out with people at, you know, drunkards and prostitutes. And I'm not saying that she's like that. I'm just saying, like, even though we have differences in lifestyle choices, that I can still like be a great friend to her, and we can, you know, have great conversations. And maybe someday she'll ask me, oh, like, what makes you so happy? What makes you so loving and joyful in life? And then I can kind of like share from there. So
yeah. And maybe she doesn't. You know?
Maybe she doesn't.
And that's okay too. Yeah. You know, God will work how God wants to work.
Exactly. So
great answer, babe. Yeah. I love that one. Here's one. Justin and Emily, if you had the choice to be really famous, would you? Would you like to be famous? No. What if famous did not mean rich? Like, lots of people knew about you, but it didn't come with all the wealth that you assume famousness comes with. Would you be famous?
No, I'd rather have the wealth of the fame. Like, I would rather not have to worry about money and just like live life without worry, and like do anything I wanted to in life. And that's what I don't care about.
Why do you not want to be famous?
There's so much like mental pressure and strain, and like,
there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want it.
Especially for someone like you, like your personality is definitely like people pleasing, seeking to be like make everyone happy. And when you're famous, you never get to make everybody happy. Like, there's always someone who hates you, and that'd be hard. That'd be tough. I mean, it's tough for me. Like, I get comments, maybe every couple of weeks where just like someone's like really just ripping into me. Yeah. And even for like me with like relatively thick skin, like it is a challenge to not let that get to your head. I can understand why a lot of celebrities stay off social media, because it can be really toxic. Yeah. Would I want to be famous? Probably not. I mean, which is kind of weird, because like the whole YouTube thing is like, in a certain respect, you're trying to become famous without like, I mean, that's not my motivation, but like kind of, right? Like grow an audience. Yeah, it's different, but for a different purpose than like a selfish motive. Like, oh, I want to look so cool and amazing. It's more like what the motive is different. Right. Yeah. Let's see. Other questions. I'm scrolling through. If there's a good question that I'm missing, guys, just comment it again. Let me know. CJ, the subscription GIF is hilarious. Thanks, man. I wasn't too sure about that one. I tried to find a good subscription GIF and a good super chat GIF or GIF, depending on how you pronounce it. But yeah, that would be kind of funny. Let's see here. Oh, here's one. Emily, do you have anything that you really love doing? I haven't really found anything yet. That's a good question, because I feel like I'm a pretty boring person, like when it comes to hobbies. True. Yeah, like I always joke because Emily's kind of a grandma. Yeah, I like to just stay at home and relax and yeah, and just spend time with my dog in my pajamas. And I'm not super adventurous, but I think one thing that I do enjoy doing is like probably like if I had more time, I'd love to travel more. Like I would like that. Like
we're even talking about going on like a road trip next summer, like down to California, up through like Zion National Park, and then all the way up here, because I haven't been to like a lot of national parks. So
we were in church. When was this? Yeah. Friday night? Yeah, we were in church Friday night, and it was a seminar on like relationships and making healthy marriages work. And one of the pieces of advice was that we need to schedule and prioritize time together. He said you need to have at least one day a week.
One evening a week.
One evening a week.
One day a month.
One day a month.
I forgot.
One weekend every
6 months.
Every 6 months.
And 1 week a year.
And 1 week a year.
Together.
And we have not taken 1 week together as a couple yet in the 3 years of marriage that we've had. So we're like, what would we do if we took a whole week just to spend time together? And we're like, oh, we should go camping and backpacking and like travel through all the different national parks. And so I think that's the kind of thing that we're wanting to do.
Yeah. So that's, since I have summers off, I'm able to take time off to do that.
Yeah. Yay. I think that'd be really, really fun.
Yeah.
All right, Mausoleo, thank you very much for the super chat. $10, $9.99 super chats. I appreciate that. All right, this is a serious question.
Whoa, I don't even know what those words mean.
So thoughts on the mistranslation of the word porneia, defined by harlotry and incest only in the original Greek, when now the word means all sex outside of marriage. Source, Greek Lexicon Concordance. Wow, okay, so I have not thought about this in quite some time. Let's look at a Greek. So a Greek lexicon. I'll try and do my best to translate the question as best as I understand it, at least. A Greek lexicon is like the Greek dictionary. You look up different words in the New Testament and you can define like what they really actually mean. So a common example is like 1 Corinthians 13, right? The love chapter. You know that the word love, as it sees in English, what is it really in the Greek?
Like agape, or is that Hebrew?
That's the wrong one. What's unconditional love?
Unconditional love?
Oh, it is agape. It's charity. It is the agape love, as opposed to eros or phileo or something along those lines, which are all different words for love. So this guy is saying that there's a mistranslation of the word. The original word is the word porneia, which is the root word for porn.
Pornography.
Yeah, that's where that word comes from. And what this person is saying is that it was originally defined to mean harlotry, or to be like a prostitute, or incest in the original Greek. And he is saying now that the word has been kind of redefined by Christians to mean all sex outside of marriage. So what is my thoughts on that? I don't really know. I haven't actually looked into this. Let me look up Greek lexicon. Actually, you know what? I have a better app for this. A really great Bible app for like studying these kinds of things is Logos. I'm pulling it up. It takes a little bit of a while to update.
I should probably go.
Gotta go?
I have to like do laundry and a lot of stuff.
Say goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Love ya. Okay, cool. Where's my Logos app? Okay, so I am looking up the Greek word porneia. Don't Google this. That could be very dangerous. Like Google search, what does this word mean? Oh no! Let's see. Okay, so here's an example of where it is used. Let's see, Matthew chapter 5. This isn't the most clear usage of this word, but let's look at it. Matthew chapter 5, and let's look at verse 32. But I say to you, everyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. So that word there for sexual immorality is actually the Greek word. Did I get this right? Sexual immorality. Where is this? Porneia. Yes. In the Greek, a general term applying to illicit sexual relationships. This is what the lexicon that I'm reading right here says. The liberal school of Hillel taught that a man might secure divorce for the most trivial cause. Oh, it's not giving us actual... Okay, so... No, it does. The liberal school of Hillel taught that a man might secure divorce for the most trivial cause, such as his wife's permitting his food to burn. Whoa! Okay, so Jewish people apparently back in the day could divorce their wife. Babe, did you hear this?
What?
Apparently, in the Hebrew tradition, at least one of the traditions thought that you could divorce someone if the wife allowed the man's food to burn.
Well, if the wife allowed man's food to burn?
Yeah, then the husband could divorce the wife.
Oh, that's a pretty big thing.
That's incredible. The more conservative school of Shammai, however, interpreted the expression "some uncleanness" to mean some unseemly thing, meaning immodest or indecent. But Jesus made it clear that there should be no divorce except in case of marital infidelity. Okay, so it seems like there are multiple definitions of what porneia actually seems to suggest. You're positing that it was really just harlotry or prostitution and incest. And some other people, obviously this is the common definition now, is that porneia means any kind of sexual immorality, any kind of sex that happens outside of marriage. I would actually be willing to accept that definition, the second definition, the one that says it's any kind of sexual immorality, specifically because of what Jesus said in the verse that I was just reading to you guys, Matthew chapter 5, verse 32. What I see in Jesus is that Jesus actually doesn't lower the standard, but Jesus raises the standard higher. Check this out. He says, not Luke 5:30 or Matthew 5:32. Excuse me. It's the one 28. Thank you. All right. Excuse me. You have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery, but I say unto you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And so this is what Jesus says. He's saying, listen, you already know that it's bad to sleep with someone else's wife, to have marital infidelity. What Jesus is saying is, listen, the standard is not here. The standard is higher than that. Even if you just have lustful thoughts, lustful intentions with someone, you've already committed adultery in your heart. And so what I see in the New Testament is Jesus not lowering the standard, but raising the standard. So that's why I'd be more inclined to embrace the second definition of that word there. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Masalio. It sounds like you've actually studied this and gone through this a little bit more than I have. Obviously, there's only so much I can think of on the spot while we're doing the live stream. I'd be interested in checking it out a little bit further. If you have any resources or articles that are worth reading, let us know. Thanks again for the super chat, by the way. Sounds like a stupid reason to divorce. Yeah. Did I ever tell you guys about the time Emily fed me bugs? Because apparently if I was Hebrew, I could divorce Emily if I wanted to after that. You remember that, babe? Yes. So we were living in Philadelphia, and Emily made me a pot of rice, which, pretty much happens almost every single day. I eat a lot of rice. What you doing? I'm just moving stuff.
Clearing the stuff off the table.
And in the pot of rice, there's like little black specks. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I just eat the rice and I don't think about it. Emily what did you think it was?
I thought it was like darker grains of rice.
She just assumed that there were dark grains of rice in the white rice. Turns out that they were maggots. Were they maggots or what were they?
Ants, I think.
Oh, they were ants. There were ants inside our apartment, like infesting our pantry, that got into the rice, and she just scooped it all in without looking and threw it in the rice cooker. And so she fed me rice and ants.
If you ever want chapstick, it's a ton in here.
Okay, thank you. So apparently, I think I have grounds for divorce.
What?
If I was a Jewish man.
No!
Oh man, we're already at 38 minutes. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit longer because it's Sunday. It's a special day. We might as well go for another 20 minutes. Let me know what other questions. I'm looking through some of you guys' questions right here. The audio is to be worked with a bit. Oh, what's going on with my audio? Is it too loud? Protein. Yeah, protein. How annoying is it when someone keeps repeating the same question? It can be a little annoying. It's not always annoying. If it's a question I've answered like 100 times already, less excited to talk about it more, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. The audio is peaking too much. Okay, give me a second. Test 1, 2, 3. Oh, looks like it's still peaking. Test 1, there you go. Is that better? How's that? Chris, is the audio working better for us now? Love the Blue Yeti. Yeah, the Blue Yeti works all right. I'm wanting to save up for a new microphone, actually. I really have my mind set on the Shure. And I think that one has some really clean sound. But for now, Blue Yeti works. I'm happy with it. Sorry about the audio problem, guys. Just let me know in the beginning of a video if it's not doing so great. Okay, Nathan's asking, hey Justin, how do you feel about high schoolers dating, seeing it as a pathway to marriage? Sorry for repeating. No problem. So my point on dating is, what is the purpose of dating? Why do you want to date? Is dating just like this thing that you want to do, or is there a purpose behind it? My belief is that dating is namely there to prepare you for marriage. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's not just about having fun. It certainly isn't about sleeping around. But dating is something that ultimately is a path that leads towards marriage. Now, I've met a lot of people who take that too... Excuse me, ginger beer. A lot of people who take that a little too far, where because they realize that dating leads to marriage, that they won't even go on a single date because, whatever reason, they don't have enough money in the bank, or they're not through college, or because of whatever. I don't know that I go that far. I say it's okay to go on dates, but that dating really should be intentional for marriage. Going on dates is helpful because it helps you to understand who you are, what are the things that you like, understand other people, helps you develop social skills, a lot of things that are really, really important. Going on casual dates, I think, is okay. But when it comes to actually dating and being in a relationship, I really want to say, what's the point of that? What's the purpose? And if you're not in the stage of life where the purpose can be fulfilled ultimately in marriage and within a reasonable amount of time, perhaps that time is better spent doing something else. So that's my perspective on that. By the way, I've done a lot of videos on the whole, when should you start dating and things like that. There's a playlist on my channel of dating and relationship advice stuff. Zachary, what are your thoughts on guys with long hair? Depends on the guy. Some guys could really pull it off. What's the name of the guy that plays Thor? Chris Hemsworth is someone that Emily has a massive crush on. You liar. I think that long hair works on him. What does okay, so Emily says she doesn't have a crush on him, but she does think he's attractive.
A crush is like, man, I want a relationship with somebody.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Emily says crushing means that you want a relationship with that person. I say crush is you just find that person attractive. Who's right, guys? Help us decide this. Either way, I think that certain guys, like Chris Hemsworth in Thor, pull off the long hair pretty well.
I think a guy is attractive, right? I can think a girl is beautiful. That doesn't mean I'm like a lesbian.
Emily's saying that she can think that a girl is attractive, or I can think a guy is good looking, but doesn't mean that you're desiring. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, you just admiring that they are a beautiful creation of God.
Lisa says that I'm right, and Darth Vader says that you're right. So. Okay. We're a little split on that. So yeah, I don't know. It depends on the guy. What do you think about guys with long hair, babe?
Depends on who it is. Some people can pull it off.
Depends on who it is. There you go. Really definitive answers there. Boom, 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 boom. Studying Israel's way of living to understand better the word, like their calendar, history. I don't mean their religion. What I mean is Hebrew roots. Would it be wise for us... Something happened with the live stream.
Look how many black socks you have up here.
Oh, no, we're back on. I think... stream dropped. Oh, bummer. Okay, are we back? Stream is resumed. There we go. Okay, cool. What was the question? Oh, studying Hebrew roots and culture, is it a wise thing to do? I absolutely think it is a good thing for you to do, to study the Hebrew faith. I'm realizing that this chat is all over my face. Let me do that. Okay. I think it's a great idea. Jesus was Jewish. All the disciples were Jewish pretty much. And so a lot of the things that took place within the New Testament have their foundation built on the entire like Old Testament and Hebrew tradition and things like that. I'll give you an example. Last night, Emily and I were in a Bible study with several friends, and we were talking about Jesus on the cross. And one of those points was, on the cross, Jesus said a few things. He said, number one, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Right? And then right before Jesus gave up his life, he said the words, "It is finished." Something that's really interesting about those two phrases is that every single person who was right around them would know what Jesus was talking about. You and I would only recognize those as the words of Jesus, but every single person there would have understood that Jesus was actually quoting something very specific. Check this out. Psalms chapter 22 begins by saying, my God, why have you forsaken me?" What was Jesus doing on the cross? He was actually quoting a chapter of the Bible, but probably because he was tired, or he didn't have energy, or he was suffering, or whatever the reason why, he didn't actually go through the entire chapter. He only quoted the first verse, and then if we scroll to the very end verse, the "he has done it," the "it is finished" part, Jesus quotes the very first part of the verse and the very last part of the verse. And in other words, if you want to have insight into what Jesus was thinking on the cross, read Psalms chapter 22. It'll blow your mind. It's so good. But the only way that you would actually know that is if you understood Hebrew tradition, if you understood Hebrew scriptures better. So is it wrong to study Jewish faith and Jewish roots? No, I think it's actually a really healthy thing. I think it's something that will really bless you if you do that. Let's see. All right. Looking for other questions. What are your thoughts? Here's a good question. What are your thoughts on God's wrath? I'm doing a sermon on it in a couple of weeks. You're definitely welcome to come if you don't mind driving 3 hours. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I don't know that I'll be able to drive 3 hours. But my thoughts on God's wrath. I think that God's wrath is definitely one of the most misunderstood concepts in the Bible. And I'm not saying that because I feel like I have the best answer for it. I want to say I feel like I don't understand God's wrath very well. Here's why. I know in the scriptures, Jesus says things like, "He who has seen me has seen the Father." One of the primary reasons as to why Jesus was here on this earth was for the express purpose of revealing God's character. And when we see Jesus's character, we should be seeing God's character. When we see Jesus being patient and kind and graceful and loving, that's who the Father is. And yet there are times when the scripture talks very clearly about the wrath of God. And I always have a very difficult time reconciling those two things together. So what are my thoughts on the wrath of God? I wish I understood it better. I feel like that's a subject that I would do well to study more. I don't know that I have much to contribute to the conversation. I would like to say that many of the time, I think that there's two mistakes that I've fallen into when it comes to the wrath of God. Number one, I have made the mistake of thinking that God doesn't actually have wrath. When I look at the person of Jesus and I say things, "Oh, Jesus is super kind and patient, blah, blah, blah," and all these different kinds of things. Therefore, God could never actually have wrath because Jesus really doesn't seem to have a lot of wrath in the New Testament, aside from one or two kind of weird situations. So I know that I've made the mistake of saying, "Oh, there is no wrath of God." But then I've also made the mistake of saying, "Oh, there definitely is the wrath of God," and God's pissed off all the time and he hates people too well. I wish I knew more. God's original says, "Justin, Emily, how do you not take offense when someone says something hurtful?" I'm sorry for being annoying. I just have a hard time not taking offense to what people say. Yeah, dude, you got to realize that when people say things, that reveals a lot of times more about them than it does about you. Most of the time when people are saying something nasty and hateful in one of the cases, that's just because they're struggling. They're going through something in life. There's a phrase that a mentor taught me, and it was this: hurt people hurt people. The kinds of people who hurt others, the kinds of people who go out of their way to make life miserable for other people, are the ones who are hurt themselves. Think about like a lifeguard trying to save someone from drowning. Most of the times when someone is drowning, what is their natural response? Is to grab somebody else and to bring them down with them. And that's why I say, is like, when someone says something negative about you, like, rather than be upset, that should actually, I think, fill you with compassion and pity because they're going through something. Usually that's what I've seen in the cases. So I try not to put too much stock into it. I try and just realize, listen, if they have something to say and it's true, then I should learn from it. I should grow. But if it's not, if it's just like them just slandering or whatever the case is, like, who cares? Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the only person that really has the right to judge you and to make a distinction about who you are and what you've done, all these different kinds of things, the only person who has that right is Jesus. And if that person's not Jesus, take what they say with a grain of salt. David, you an awesome question. Have you studied any of the religions before? And if you did, what would give you the assurance to trust in Jesus even more? I have studied some religions here and there. When I was in college, I took a world religion class, and I got to study Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Sikhism. And yeah, but it wasn't like a super deep thing. It was like, a couple months. But what was the thing that gave me the assurance to trust in Jesus even more? It was the Word of God. Like, studying prophecy is pretty amazing. I think it's in, let me try and find this verse. Is it John 13:19 or maybe John 19:13? Nope, John 13:19. I was right the first time. All right. Check this out. John 13:19. I am telling you this now before it takes place, that when it does take place, you may believe that I am He. Jesus gives you really a strong reason to know that He is who He claims to be, that you could know that He is in fact God. In fact, it's really interesting. If you let's go to the King James Version of the Bible, this verse 19, you'll notice that word He is, there's something different about that word right there, right? Now I tell you before it comes, that when it comes to pass, you may believe that I am, and then He. That word He is actually in italics. And what that means is that word He is a supplied word. That word He was not in the original language. So the way that text actually is supposed to read is, it's supposed to say, I tell you before it comes, that when it comes to pass, you may believe that I am. Period. Jesus says, I'm telling you things ahead of time. I'm telling you the future, in essence. That way, when it actually happens, you might believe that I am. And if you know your Old Testament, Jesus is actually quoting God the Father as he's talking to Moses. When Moses says, who shall I say sent me? And he's by the burning bush. God says, I am that I am. Jesus is quoting these words, and Jesus is saying, listen, I am. And how do you know that? Is because He can tell the future. And so studying prophecy in particular is really amazing, David, to help you know that Jesus is who He says He is. To give you a little bit more deeper thoughts on that, I've done an interview with my friend of mine who was a former atheist. You can check it out. It's like maybe 5 or 6 videos ago. And he shares his testimony about how he became a Christian from atheism. And there's a 1-hour video that's kind of hidden in the description where we study a prophecy in depth. And it's pretty amazing. I would definitely direct you that way. Hey, Helen's in the live chat. Good to see you, Helen. Thanks for hanging out. Helen's an awesome person. I was speaking at a Korean church in Atlanta, Georgia, and she drove like 2.5 hours, dragging her 4 kids and her husband to come and say hi. And so, Helen, thank you very much. Good to see you. Hope you and the family are doing well. All right. I got another 6 minutes to go. Let me know if there's anything else going on that you want to chat about. How is life going for you and your wife, says Keely. Life is going well. Honestly, I can't complain. We are healthy. We're happy, largely speaking. Work is going well for the two of us. And yeah, I mean, it's been good. Yesterday we got to go and hang out and do a little hike, and that's always fun. And of course, Ronan's a great dog to have time with. It's just been a lot of fun. So things have been going really, really great. We got another super chat. This guy, IB, I'm not reading the entire name. There's a spot for you in Piper's Fart Ministry. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat and for coming back again and talking about your fart ministry. That's something that I know that you're very, very passionate about. Let's see. Should we fast weekly? Simon asks. That's a really good question. I haven't actually done very much fasting at all in the last couple of years. There was who was it? Was it John Wesley who used to say that if you were a pastor, you needed to fast every single week. Hey, if fasting helps you, great. Jesus obviously talks about fasting in a very high regard. He talks about how like certain demons and certain things can only be overcome through prayer and fasting. And so, yeah, I mean, if there's something that you need to face, fasting is definitely something that Jesus endorses. Jerry Jaguar is talking about how to be delivered from homosexuality. That you need your help. Listen, I don't know that I have the answer for that. I don't think that I'm qualified to really help you in that. So the main thing that I would say is I would encourage you to find a good counselor that you can help, like that can help you process all of that. Like, I wish I could help. I want to actually do a video with a friend of mine who was lesbian for a number of years, and eventually, like, through whatever journey that she went on, whether that's through praying and counseling or something like that, she basically gave that up. I don't really quite know what that was like and all the ins and outs of that. Again, I'm really ignorant on that. I've never really struggled with same-sex attraction or anything else like that. I've always identified as straight. So I don't know that I can actually be of service and help you in that specific way. Helen says, intense and continuous prayer, supportive Christian community to help build a foundation beneath your feet. I agree with that. I think that that's probably the best advice I can give is continual time in the Word and prayer, spending time with community. But beyond that, like, seek some maybe more pointed and professional help would be my addition to that. Yeah. Jerry is saying, can you guys pray for me real quick? Yeah, we can absolutely pray for you. Homosexuality and all of those different kind of trials and things like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and bow our head for prayer, and then we will end the live stream. Again, guys, we're going to try and be going live tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So if you're new here, subscribe, turn on the bell notification, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Special video coming out actually on both my channel and John Jorgensen's channel. I've been hyping this up for quite some time. It's a special conversation series around the church and Francis Chan's new book. I think it's going to be amazing. I really want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. So be ready for that. With that said, let's go ahead and pray. And let's go on with the rest of the day. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Father in heaven, I just want to thank you so much for my friends here and just for their earnest desire to follow after you, for the community that we can build. It's encouraging to see others, to see people in the chat answering each other's questions and praying for each other and lifting each other up. Lord, that this is something that's really, really helpful and valuable to all of us, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. Lord, we all together today want to lift up to you Jerry, who has been struggling with same-sex attraction and is wanting to overcome this. I just want to pray, Lord, that you would draw close to him, that you would give him wisdom and encouragement, that you would put him into connection with the right people that can help him through this. People that have people who have journeyed through this themselves, people who've had success in overcoming it and just living a new life as they walk in the Spirit. And so, Lord, I just want to pray that you would give him confidence, let him know that he's not forsaken or alone, that even if things aren't always perfect in our lives, Lord, that your Spirit is there not to condemn us, but to convict us and to convert us and to turn us away from these things. And so I just want to pray, Lord, that you would reassure him that your love is there, that you accept him presently as he is, and that because of that love, you're going to continue to work in his life and to change his life. And so, Lord, we pray that for him. We want to be here for him and to love him. I'm sorry that we were having a handful of internet issues here and there. Sorry about that. If it did cut out, I noticed that it was once or twice. But of course, we will be back again tomorrow. So if your question wasn't answered, feel free to join us again tomorrow in our live stream. I'd love to hang out with you guys again. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. As I like to say, until next time, I'm that Christian vlogger, and I want to encourage you to experience faith in the first person. God bless.